Did you know that the principles of projectile motion are crucial not just for launching rockets into space, but also for making that perfect three-pointer in basketball? It's very true. Now, whether you're preparing for the FE exam, for scoring points on the court, or even designing the next big engineering marvel, understanding projectile motion is going to be key for you. Now, in this week's Pass the FE exam video, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the fascinating world of projectile motion and exploring how to determine the exact position of a projectile at its maximum height. This question forms part of the dynamics section in the FE exam. So join us as we break down these principles of kinematics and the fundamental concepts of projectile motion, including the independence of horizontal and vertical components when air resistance is negligible. This problem was created and solved by mechatronic engineer Chanté and is brought to you by PPI, a leader in engineering exam prep for the FE and PE exams since 1975. PPI provides expert prep courses and study resources designed to help you pass the PE exam the first time. PPI's live online courses include hours of lectures, problem-solving demonstrations, exam strategy sessions, office hours, and a passing guarantee. And when you take a live online course, PPI guarantees that you will pass, or you can take the on-demand course for free. With study guides, practice exams, and more, the PPI Learning Hub offers digital practice and review that you can take with you anywhere that you have a device so that you can prepare during the times most convenient for you. Check out PPI today at ppi2pass.com to see all of the options available for PE exam prep.
This problem involves a classic projectile motion scenario. A projectile is launched from ground level with an initial velocity of 22 meters per second at an angle of 40 degrees. The objective is to determine the projectile's exact position, specified by its x and y coordinates at the moment it reaches its maximum altitude. Before diving into the solution, let's review the problem context, starting with a clear understanding of projectile motion. This involves the study of an object moving under the influence of gravity alone. The foundation for solving projectile motion problems lies in the principles of particle kinematics. While particle kinematics typically focuses on motion without considering the forces involved, in the case of projectile motion, we make an exception for gravity. By treating gravity as a constant downward acceleration, we can apply kinematic equations to analyze the object's motion. The equations governing projectile motion are derived from well-established constant acceleration equations. However, when air resistance is negligible, the horizontal and vertical components of a projectile's motion are independent. This allows us to separately analyze the object's motion in two dimensions. One along the horizontal axis, where the velocity remains constant, and the other along the vertical axis, where gravity accelerates the object downward. To analyze the problem effectively, we decompose the object's initial velocity into its horizontal and vertical components using trigonometry. By applying the sine function to the launch angle, we determine the vertical component, while the cosine function yields the horizontal component. These components form the basis for our analysis of the projectile motion in two dimensions. These components are the key to deriving the projectile motion equations specific to each dimension. As mentioned before, these equations account for the constant velocity in the horizontal direction and the gravitational acceleration in the vertical dimension. These are the equations we will be applying to analyze our problem. So without further ado, let's jump right into the solution. As the projectile is launched upwards, gravitational acceleration pulls it back down towards the horizontal. This downward acceleration gradually reduces the object's upward velocity until it becomes zero at its highest point. At this exact moment, the projectile has stopped moving upwards, and it's about to start falling back down. Realizing that the object's velocity is zero at its apex enables us to apply equation 3 to find the exact time at which this occurs. Of course, it follows that this is the time at which the object will reach its peak height. We can start by rearranging our equation to solve for time. By substituting the given initial velocity, launch angle, and the known zero velocity at the peak, we find that the projectile reaches its maximum height within 1.44 seconds. And on a side note, to maintain accuracy, I recommend you store the unrounded value in your calculator so that you can use it in the calculations that follow. Knowing the time it takes for the projectile to reach its highest point, we can now determine its vertical position, or y-coordinate, at this moment. When inspecting the formulas we have available, we see that we have all the necessary information to find this value using equation 4. We can directly substitute our known time, initial velocity, and launch angle to find that its vertical position at this point is equal to 10.19 meters. To complete our analysis, we'll determine the horizontal position, or x-coordinate, using equation 2. As before, we substitute our known values and find that the x-coordinate is equal to 24.29 meters. And this concludes our analysis, yielding the final x-y coordinates of the projectile at its maximum height. And that completes our problem. By browsing the options given to us, we can see that the final answer is equal to D. To wrap up, let's emphasize a few key points. In analyzing projectile motion problems, it's crucial to recognize the independence of horizontal and vertical components when air resistance is negligible. This simplification allows us to treat the motion as two separate one-dimensional problems. Furthermore, while a projectile experiences motion in both horizontal and vertical directions, the acceleration due to gravity acts solely in the vertical direction. In fact, this is the reason that the object follows the classic parabolic path that we see in these problems. Thirdly, always remember that the projectile's vertical velocity is zero at its highest point. Forgetting this fact is not detrimental, but it may result in the need for a few simultaneous equations, resulting in unnecessary time wasted. Finally, remember that projectile motion problems often follow a similar pattern. By mastering the core concepts and equations, you'll be well equipped to tackle a variety of problems in this area.
So I hope that you all found this week's video to be very helpful, and in upcoming videos, we're going to be answering more of your FE exam questions and run through some more practice problems for you all as well. Pass the FE exam will publish videos weekly, so please be sure to click the subscribe button as you get expert tips and tricks, including practice problems and solutions weekly, to ensure that you're going to pass that FE exam. And I encourage you all to ask questions in the comments that we're going to be reading and responding to in future videos. So if there's a specific topic that you want us to cover or a question that you want to have answered, pass the FE exam, we'll have you covered. I'll see you all next week.